My next guest on today's podcast is Rohan Chaubey.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Rohan is a growth hacker come growth marketer, and at a young age, he's been able to achieve so many things. With a Guinness World Record to his name and some very fun facts that 13 July is called the Growth Hacking Day.
My growth hacking day is on 13th July.
And he's also in process to release a movie.
It's more of like digital entrepreneurship as a whole and showing the growth stories of these entrepreneurs. It is real stories of, so the concept is, at least for now, the concept is 21 digital entrepreneurs very successful in what they do. Some are digital creators, some are startup founders, some are unicorn founders, some are agencies making millions. So people coming from different walks of life, but in the digital space.
His story and his mindset about growth hacking and growth marketing in this day and age is fascinating. And without much further ado, let me get on with it. Hi Rohan, welcome to Masters Decoded Season 3. Really glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Rohan, when I looked up your profile and my team did research, it was very fascinating. At such a young age, you've been touted as one of the most followed on Twitter, the growth hacker. So first of all, for the benefit of the audience, what's your age?
I'm 26, so not very young, but
now you are young. If I have to compare my age, I'm at 45 almost. So you are definitely young.
Thank you. And I think these titles like most follower or having followers on any profile or platform is just a very temporary now, with platforms evolving and going down, platforms emerging. So I don't really take it seriously, but yeah, it's just a nice thing.
That's good. And we'll get into the subject of growth hacking. And by the way, I'm a big, believer in growth hacking. And for me, growth hacking is also personal hacking, how I grow personally as individuals. But what you do, what you focus on is from a business perspective and a business lens. And we'll talk more about it. But at this young age, at the age of 26, where did growth hacking come to you about? Like, where did this land up? How did you, if you can share a little bit about that, I would love to double click on this aspect first.
Sure. So I was actually a blogger. And then I think I started in 2013.
Wow.
And it's 23. So almost a decade on the internet. I grew up on the internet. I was 16 and now I'm 26.
Wow.
And then I think in about 4-5 years, I did not monetize. I was just blogging for fun. I was writing whatever I was learning in school. And then in 2016, November, I got an opportunity to work with San Francisco-based startup remotely. And that's when, I started to monetize my skills. So when you are a blogger, you learn everything: writing, SEO, marketing, social media, literally everything. So this founder used to call himself founder and growth hacker. And back then I was too shy to ask him. So, and we did not have many conversations as well. His wife used to speak to us. So I started researching it myself, like what is growth hacking, how did it originate and stuff like that. And started to, like, once I had all the basic understanding from books, podcasts, blogs, guides, and whatever I could find on the internet, videos, I started to have my own frameworks and theories to it. And then it evolved into like a book. And then I collaborated with other people, contributed to the knowledge. And I continue to do that with my community now. So over the years, my definitions have slightly changed, but the essence have remained the same. And I also realized that growth hacking has been around since the start of the internet, when one of the first companies and startups started on the internet. So it has been an interesting journey, and I'm glad I could be a part of it 10-15 years down the line, and hoping to continue to endorse and promote it. I think that's the way marketing is shaping up as well. Like growth marketing is very common term now.
Yeah.
Everyone talks in terms of growth. So it has become quite mainstream in the last 10 years.
So, Rohan, you mentioned that over the years you've redefined growth hacking in your mind. Uh, what was it before, and what is it now, as per you? If you can go a little bit deeper into that.
Yes. So for me, previously I used to think that growth marketing or growth hacking is about, finding very clever ways to do things
Mm-hmm.
or finding something unconventional or offbeat, right? That still remains.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've added to it is over the years that my understanding is that you may not always come up with something offbeat or unconventional, right? It's a mix of conventional and unconventional strategies
Mm-hmm.
that you do it in a systematic way. And then there is a sign, you apply science behind it. Like, you literally, when we are in school, we are given chemicals to mix.
Yeah.
So so think of growth experiments like different chemicals, conventional, non-conventional, and you're mixing and seeing what the end result is. So in school, when we mix chemicals, we don't know what color it would change to, right? So
Yeah.
in startup marketing, we don't know what results it would bring in. So we note it down. And then based on the observation, we come to a conclusion that, okay, we performed X experiments and Y were very successful. And we want to do more of that.
Mm.
Or maybe mixing of two experiments or independently doing them was a disaster and we don't want to do that. It caused an explosion in the lab.
Yeah.
So that's where I've come to that it's more of a science versus just
And
something offbeat.
so, but these experiments also cost money, right? In real world, specifically when now the situation like what's going on in the market, where the market is tough, marketing dollars are hard to come by. Organizations doing experiments with marketing can really cost them from a learning perspective, right? It can be a costly learning expertise as well as science, which they would indulge in. Do you think every company should indulge in these experiments on and off as markets change, as market situations change?
Yeah, so I've been very passionate about this topic. What we have observed over the years, like I've at least been on the internet for 10 years, and I've seen marketing has shifted from organic, free to very paid and promotional.
Mm-hmm.
And now it has come down to all the platforms banding together to go against the marketers. Like they don't work in interest of the marketers, they work in interest of themselves and their
Wow.
profits. So you see every platform has decreased their reach.
Yeah.
Every platform has control number of like Twitter has even controlled the number of views you can have, like in
Yes.
terms of how many tweets you can see. Reddit has changed their API policies. You can't even build tools now using APIs unless you're paying a hefty amount if you're doing it at scale. So I've seen over the years, every possible organic channel has been monetized in some way.
Yeah.
We were promoted these platforms as if it is free platform for marketing, for self-expression. Now these are data platforms. These
Mm-hmm.
are commercialized, highly commercial
Yeah.
platforms where we are just a part of the product or purchasing the product.
Mm-hmm.
So now the growth hacking is even difficult than ever. Everything has money to it.
Mm-hmm.
Even doing something for free would cost you money, because you may want to have, let's say, giving you an example, uh, doing LinkedIn outreach or cold outreach on LinkedIn was very popular.
Yeah.
LinkedIn had no limits. Like you could go crazy with connecting to lakhs of people
Yeah.
until 2015-17. Then LinkedIn said that 30,000 connections is the maximum you can have.
Yeah.
Then they said that you can have 1,000 invites. Now you can send only 100 invites per week.
Yeah.
And maybe in the times to come, they would say become a premium and then have the 100 invites.
Yeah.
So you notice what's happening here. They are just decreasing the limits, and the scope for organic hacking per se is going away.
Hmm.
Now you need to do things like scale things vertically, horizontally instead of vertically. Like having one account to do so many actions, you have tens of accounts doing the same number of actions, but you just are adding more components to it. So I think that way the growth marketing has evolved and now has a cost attached to it, but it was far more easier earlier. So yes, every experiment has a cost in terms of time, cost in terms of team, cost in terms of tools.
Yeah.
And that
And production
evaluation,
also, right? Production of an ad
absolutely,
and all of those aspects.
absolutely. Those are all like extra side things, right? And then evaluating, okay, which it also comes to cost optimization, right? Like, where do we put in the money to actually get the ROI based on our hypothesis,
Mm-hmm.
and then based on the results? Those are like two completely different things, right? So
Yep.
I think the science of growth hacking has become a little more complex than it used to be.
But somebody who's learning marketing today, and I want to switch a little bit, and I come across certain curriculums when you think about people who are doing BMM in India, or they're learning marketing in a professional setup like a management degree. Nobody talks about growth hacking. Uh, that's a sad part also. Why do you feel that it's not still becoming mainstream growth hacking?
So we are taking some initiatives to uh, promote it. The people are involved, the marketers are involved, the industry, the government. I'll talk about it as we move forward. But for the time being, I think the traditional institutes still see marketing as marketing it used to be, and
Yeah.
the most subtle ways, right? But when these participants, candidates, or professionals, when they enter the actual space, they realize that, oh, whatever we learned was a good starter,
Yeah.
but it does not apply directly.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to get smarter to really apply it. And I think that is the gap that's missing, and that's why we see so many courses and other things popping up, right?
Yeah.
But then again, it's not timeless. Most of the courses are not timeless principles, so we still need the principles from the institutes. It's just that the institutes need to up their game and go well with the current times. And I think that would only happen when people like you and I or others get involved and really start preaching what it looks like to grow a company in this age.
You spoke about platforms, and if I'm a marketer, I'm learning to be a
Mhm.
marketing professional.
Mhm.
And you spoke about these variety of platforms, they evolving at a much more rapid pace. And let's talk about the new kid on the block, which is Threads, which has also come up in the last 1 week, and it's probably got the maximum number of users compared to any other platform, right? The latest one was ChatGPT, which was not
Mhm.
a social media
Mhm.
platform or a engagement platform, but it was touted as one of the biggest platforms which got maximum number of users. But Threads has broken those records as well. Now, if I'm a marketer and I'm trying to learn marketing, I've come from marketing, and you have these platforms which are evolving at a much more
Mhm.
larger scale. Uh, how do you keep up, and how do you know what works, what doesn't work from an experiment perspective also?
So I still think that OpenAI ChatGPT was the fastest platform to acquire users, and I discredit Meta. The
Okay.
reason being, it's like, let's take example of this. I have a community, you have a new community. We decide that we want to work together. We are now business partners. So I have this existing community that I say that we will now be into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are merging. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel with Threads. You need to have an Instagram account. You already have the audience, and this audience is prominently shown the thread option inside the Instagram app, which
Okay.
redirects to the App Store, which then you have to download using your Instagram credentials. So it's like I already have my audience on one app. I'm just taking them to another app. That is not user acquisition. That is user exchange.
Hmm.
User acquisition is when you, let's say, if they would have got 250 million users of Twitter on thread on the first day,
Yeah.
that would be something. Or I mean, 250 is of course a crazy number, but let's say 10 million users, right,
Yeah.
from Twitter. But that's not what is happening. Although Elon has accused them of getting Twitter data and then working on it to get acquire users or whatever, and then using their IPs or anything. I mean, that's a different story. But the point I'm trying to make here is this is not user acquisition. This is user exchange. And I think Meta is cleverly blurring the lines, and I see even marketers hyping it. But I think we need to be very clear about this. The second is, I've worked with a few social media platforms, and
Okay.
I shouldn't be saying this, but I would, because that would just give more context to what I was saying earlier with Meta. That I was working, I was working with a legit social platform which had government's recognition as an intermediary platform, just like how Twitter, Facebook, everyone has, right? And what we used to do is we were a competitor to Twitter in India
Mm-hmm.
when the government of India had issues with the Twitter platform
Mm-hmm.
before Elon Musk took it over. Twitter did not wanted to comply with the new IT rules of India,
India.
and that's when this platform was launched. And they
Mm-hmm.
were banking on this controversy to get people. And I was one of those marketers who took them from 50 lakh users to a crore. There
Wow.
were only 3 growth marketers on the team.
Hmm.
I was on the organic acquisition side, and then there were 2 other marketers that were on the paid side. We
Okay.
had the country's largest budget, paid marketing budget. We were like, I think the second, the first one was spending the most amount of money with Meta. We were
Wow.
sending the second most amount of money with Meta across India.
Okay.
And then they hired me to have some organic acquisition done.
Hmm.
So what we realized is that this story alone, that it's Twitter versus the government or Twitter versus the right of India, would alone acquire us the users.
Mm-hmm.
So we were actually getting people from Twitter to our platform, right? That's right acquisition. Like we are
Yep.
actually an alternative to them. So Thread is an alternative to Twitter Thread. So they should be acquiring from Twitter and not from their platform first.
Mm-hmm.
Their platform would anyways come later, right?
Yep.
So this is the point of making this. And then as a platform, I've also seen how we make algorithms, rules, what special privileges are given to certain users. For example, when TikTok was in India,
Yeah.
I was working with Upgrad,
Okay.
and when reached out to the ByteDance company, which runs TikTok, said that if you take this set of creators, we guarantee you reach. We
Oh.
asked them how. They said the organic algorithms are in our hands. We can amplify it. Similarly, when the same company, okay, let's skip company names. This company I was working with for LinkedIn influencer marketing, they were also running a lot of influencer campaigns. Sorry, uh, campaigns, the paid campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Their budgets were in crores, and this company got the top startup in LinkedIn,
Okay.
and then has a complimentary thing, right? Like when you go to a 5 star and you say it's your birthday or anniversary or whatever, they bring you cake for free. It's not really included in your billing.
Yep.
So just because you're buying from this platform in crores has a complimentary thing, they offered to increase organic reach of the founder of the company, because he was an influencer and a very big guy in Bollywood. So this is what happens. Like, platforms are not neutral for all, and working closely with these platforms has an employee and has a media buyer. I've learned this. So do you call this growth hacking, or do you call this, um, I don't know if it's marketing. It's pure play, pay to play, right?
Yeah.
The people with most money would have the most reach.
Hmm.
So this is why I say that organic side of things are dying, and it's the need of the hour. Just like platforms are banning against marketers, marketers need to ban against platforms. How do we do that? You have seen an example with, right? What happened with
Mm-hmm.
is recently, I don't know if you've heard of it, went dark. They dropped, I guess, 7 to 10% of their traffic over protests, right? I'm one of the mods which participated in the protests, and we turned off our subreddit along with 23,000 moderators, and you could see the effect, right? What was the result of it? compromised. They said that the mod tools will continue to operate over the limits. They were making apps that were meant for accessibility to the blind possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they're working to bring on more mod tools for us. They are bringing more options for accessibility for the blind users, and I'm happy with it. So this did not happen with Twitter when Elon took over, and I think the left of the world was complaining. They
Yeah.
could easily band together. They did not. But we learned from the example of that you can take down a tech giant. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, is not a giant, but it still shows an example to us, right?
Yeah.
But then platforms are fighting against it as well. They saw the example of. So what happened was users were deleting their content to decrease the traffic of the entire site.
Mm.
Meta observed this from controversy, protests, and now you can't there is this statement in that profile that says you can't delete a thread profile entirely
You can
unless you
deactivate.
delete your
Yeah.
Instagram account.
Yes.
So you see, it's an undeclared war, marketers versus the tech giants, right? And
Mm.
I tell you on this podcast, someday even governments would be replaced by these platforms. I worked with these platforms and I've internally known how good and bad they could be, and I promise this will happen.
Okay. That's a tall claim, but we'll definitely have to see how things. And yes,
It's not
you
a
know what?
claim, it has happened. It has happened with Trump,
Yeah.
right? He was a president, right? And I don't side any of the political sides. I'm just saying as a fact that it happened.
Yeah.
It can topple a government.
Yeah, it can topple a government. In fact, we've seen that all the uprising of the Middle East started from all social media platforms, and it toppled most of the governments. And we've seen uprisings happening across the world. It happened with Donald Trump as well, as you rightly said. But you know, it, to your point, you know, to each or to its own in terms of how things will evolve. You're right in saying that most of these platforms have expanded from its original base of connecting people or creating engagement platforms, but to now have more of influencing ability of individuals. We've seen unnecessary conversations happening on these platforms, which have resulted in people forming point of views, which isn't warranted.
When I
So
was a blogger,
yeah,
I signed up to Facebook because it said on the homepage connecting with people free forever.
yeah.
And then I only signed up for sharing my blog posts.
Hmm.
Now the content has evolved so much that every other content is about someone being an absolute sellout,
Yeah,
someone trying to divide people, someone trying to produce some some
illicit and unethical
yeah.
content. Yeah,
So it has come to the point where social media is not social media anymore.
yeah,
And maybe perhaps we need one common, maybe someone would invent it where it just goes back to the times. I don't know if
yeah.
it's possible right now. But yeah, coming back to the point of marketers is just that we now need to be more clever than ever. And if you ask me, like, let me just uh, frame your next question even without you asking me, what is the solution to this? The
Mm-hmm.
solution is creating our own platforms, creating
Mm.
our own tribes, and then these tribes together band together. So for
Yeah,
example, you run your own community, I run my own community. We do a podcast together, we exchange audiences, and we
yeah,
don't want social media anymore. We are going to only use social media to exploit it. I mean, to get as much mileage as we can.
yeah.
But
For
then
our own
originally,
communities.
yes, but then originally it is hosted on our own safe spaces.
And you could see, like, I don't know if you know this, but Nas Daily, Nasir has started his own community platform. He's
Yeah, they
built a.
invited me. Yes.
Yes, so even I have my own community on that now. So as things evolve, to your point, there are a lot of these creators or people who've made these platforms
Mhm.
successful also are now saying, "Hey, enough with these platforms, and I want to go ahead and have my own control of communities which I own, rather than the platforms demanding or commanding that." But when you think about growth hacking and when you think about community, but the community aligns to content, which is the paramount of everything, right? Whether it's paid marketing or organic marketing, uh, there's so much of content being produced. Even this, what we're doing today, is producing content, and there is less attention span, right? People say it's in seconds, it's in single digit seconds now, the attention span. When you think about growth hacking and when you think about community and then you think about content, when you look at the proper trifecta, content, how do organizations really deal with content and get that attention span which is required as part of both of those aspects?
Okay, so I had an interesting take on this. So, with my regular consulting practice, this is what I recommend to companies when they bring up this, content marketing. I would say that you are not a content company, you're
Yep.
not a product company, you're not a media company, you're all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you would have a community,
Mm-hmm.
you would create content,
Mm-hmm.
which is your media company.
Mm-hmm.
This media company is supported by your community. And this, I mean, look at it this way: there is community, community supports the media company, the media company supports the product or service or whoever you are, right? Like even a personal brand.
Yeah.
So this is like going upwards, but the base of it is the community.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have the strong foundation, which is your community, then you go on to build a media company, then you go on to build your product service. That's how it should ideally be.
Okay. Interesting. But picking the right form of content, today content has evolved as well. You have short form of content, both text and visual. And when you think about visual, there is images, there's GIF, there's videos, and videos also have variety of types of formats. Which one do you pick and choose, and how do you align, and how do you build, like, the classic social media calendars or content calendars where people talk about repurposing, creating a mega content, and then create shorter content out of that. There's so many things out there, right? If you try to spend time and energy behind it, you will spend a year learning about different aspects of this. So, how does a company go about driving this forward?
I feel it's no longer about the format of the content. It's about the message that you want to amplify.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, for example, what like we personally do in our communities, we would pick a theme or topic for the week or the month. It's not like explicitly told that, oh, this is what we are going to do.
Okay.
Just like a media company wouldn't come and tell you that, oh, this week we are going to run news about this thing and we will continue to talk about it for the rest of the month or week,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It just happens. We just notice it has a season, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine-Russia war is still going on.
Yeah.
But is it the major coverage point for the news media right now? No.
No.
It was, right?
Yeah.
So it's an untold theme, right? So we keep untold themes for our communities. We start discussion. We start I would say the fire, and then it burns in forms of conversation, right? And more like I want to give it a more positive connotation. So it's like, we will ignite that spark, and then people will come join the fireside chat, and everybody starts to talk about this topic, and they suddenly feel that it's an important topic for discussion. For these 1,000 people, this topic becomes important, right? Not for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And this is what I suggest B2C and B2B companies to do as well. Pick your cause, pick your story, pick your narratives, and then become spin doctors. Every platform you're picking the same story, you're spinning the same stories. Regardless of the format of the content, you amplify just one message. So if you now go and pick up my other podcasts, you would find me talking about the same things over and over again. Pick up some author like Robin Sharma. He's talking about the same thing for a decade. I think 5 a.m. Club, waking up early, being a genius, and I don't know what not. Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. The messaging remains the same. For me, it's lifelong about growth marketing. I ran a blog first. I started about growth marketing. I became a growth marketer. I launched the Growth Hacking Book 1. I launched Growth Hacking Book 2. My Growth Hacking movie now comes out. My Growth Hacking Day is on 13th July. We do Twitter trends on Growth Hacking Day. I talk at events, it's all about growth hacking. I talk at podcast, YouTube channels, it's all growth hacking. Like, you would be overwhelmed if you see me anywhere, it's just growth hacking. So
Mhm.
that's what your company needs to stand for. If you're a customer service, let's say, platform like Intercom should become like the best, uh, talker about CX, customer experience,
Yeah.
and they become the leader of it. Like, my name, Rohan Chaubey, should be synonymous to growth marketing or growth hacking, not for the world, but
Mhm.
only for these 1,000 people or 10,000 or even 100, whatever your audience size is. A lot of people also think I need to have millions to know me. No, you just need to get like 1,000, 100, 10,000 people to really know this thing because of you. They see you and immediately this thing comes to their mind.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to build with your community, with your content formats, everything pointing to the same thing and origin.
You spoke about the books, and we'll come to the books because there are some fascinating stories on the books. But talking about the entire, you know, you spoke a lot about social media and social media platforms, but today the traditional platforms, as we grew up, or at least I grew up, you and I have 20 years of gap. In that first 20 years which I grew up, we had traditional media, which still exists, like TV, radio, billboard ads. Word of mouth still is there, but now has transitioned into many things: newspapers, newspaper ads. Forget the digital newspapers, but physical newspapers. When you think about growth hacking and growth marketing, how does that, the traditional meets new, does that really work these days?
Absolutely. So it's more of like done from a PR standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, I think, what I don't remember the company exactly. There was this event, and everybody was like supposed to come to this place, some convention center, and there was like a big balloon of this software,
Okay.
and it was quite visible. So that's something done offline but generates conversation online on Twitter, let's say.
Okay.
I had a billboard of my book in Mumbai, uh, across stations,
Okay.
and people would take a picture and send me. And when I posted it on my social media, it had like the most engagement. So
Mm.
the engagement wasn't happening in real world, but that real world thing helped in digital engagement. Similarly, when we did an event to release a launch a book, there was media from the print, digital, and sorry, what, TV,
Mm-hmm.
and it was spread across platforms. But then the same social proof is shown on digital, to say that, oh, we are a newspaper. Like, people who come on newspaper right now, nobody reads it, but they take a clip of it and post it on Instagram, Twitter, wherever they want
Yep.
to, and then it gets engagement, right? So everything now ties down to the digital, but it still has value, right? Because not everybody can do it. So the things that not everybody can do are still something that people desire, and it creates engagement in conversations. So I think that is how it's evolving at the moment. Of course, billboard advertising, it's still a big thing. I was just looking at, so now we have digital billboards in
Digital
Mumbai,
billboards, yes.
and it's like ever changing, just like how we have it on websites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting because now it's more lively. Perhaps there would be a point in time when you're driving through and your phone shows the same ads what you see on billboards. It could all be connected. So I still see an integrated work of media across the real and offline world, sorry, the digital and offline world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It just now acts as a complement to digital, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. You spoke about the books, but you spoke about one thing which is very interesting before the books is your own movie on growth hacking. Is the movie in production? Can you shed some light about the
Sure.
movie?
Sure. So it's not exactly growth hacking per se, but it's more of like digital entrepreneurship as a whole, and showing the
Okay.
growth stories of these entrepreneurs. So
Is it
for a
real
long,
stories or is it fictitious?
it is real stories of, okay, so the concept is, at least for now, The
Okay.
concept is 21 digital entrepreneurs very successful in what they do. Some are
Okay.
digital creators, some are startup founders, some are unicorn founders, some are agencies making millions.
Mm-hmm.
So people coming from different walks of life, but in the digital space.
Okay.
They meet in an island and they tell their stories. And then we show all aspects of their life, from business to life to spirituality or whatever like they are into, what's their philosophy of success.
Mm.
And then uh, it's an attempt to show that how people, so now it's very like a few years ago when I used to be a blogger, making money on the internet was a luxury.
Yeah.
Now making money on the internet or working from home or remotely is like a new normal.
Yeah.
And in the times to come, it's not about talking about how you make money online or how you work remotely. It's about what has been your journey that really contributes to creating wealth online.
Mm-hmm.
And this story is about generating wealth. This story is about growth. This story is about how the internet has evolved, and so are these digital entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And we are releasing this in theaters in Mumbai.
Oh,
We are
wow.
putting this on OTT platform. We are putting it all across co-working spaces. And this is all offline, right? And it would create the buzz online. So it's in the
Nice.
works. It will we will start shooting on the onset of winter in India.
Okay.
It's currently raining. We don't know the weather conditions on islands that we are looking at. So once it's done in winter, we plan to release it next year, early next year, because people would be excited. New year, new me. So they
Yeah.
would feel inspired with the movie. So I had done 2 books. It became a bestseller. For 23 hours, we were ranking #1 on Kindle, even above the likes of Jay Shetty, Chetan Bhagat, Gary Vee. So it says something, right? Like, we don't have a paid PR, we don't have any PR as such, but it's the community that made the movie last #1 for 23 hours. And anybody who has heard of Kindle store and the actual Amazon bookstore
Yeah.
knows that there are millions and millions of book, and ranking like #1 in the entire nation is like a big thing. And the people we're competing with, like Gary Vee, are on everybody's screen. So it's like, the unknowns competing with the knowns.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows the power of community. And further on that, for the movie as well as the book, we are engaging international audiences. That means it's an India-led movement, but it's involving everybody else. So
Wow.
this also brings me to the story of our growth hacking book, if you allow, sorry, the growth hacking day, if you allow me to share.
Sure.
Uh, US was like, places in the US were doing their own growth hacking day. In France, people were doing their own growth hacking day. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially the US, Europe, right? And I realized that a lot of countries are left out.
Mm-hmm.
What could we do? Like we say in India, we are more, the right word would be benevolent.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to like have everyone together. We are Indian at heart and global in spirit. So how do we
Yeah.
get everybody together and on one page? So we thought, okay, let's come up with International Growth Hacking Day on the day we launched the book. The
Okay.
day and the book was endorsed by Mr. Amitabh Kant, who is the CEO and director of Niti Aayog, Government of India. This vertical helps in policy making in India.
Yeah.
And recently, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, met the PM and Amitabh Kant. So
Yeah.
he's the same person. He's also the same person who started Make in India and Incredible India themes. So he's a fantastic person, and getting an endorsement from him was like a big thing. And then we had a few other people from the government, policy making divisions, the media, like I said, TV, print, digital, uh, the community in India, and in 20 countries involved. We made, of course, the best-selling book. We had 100 people from 20 countries, making a world record of business anthology having most number of contributors and nations. And it is now in several libraries in India and US. It's mostly had impact in India and US, but it also impacted smaller countries. For example, Caribbean island
Mhm.
is also a place that was colonized by Britishers,
Yep.
and they by default feel they're defeated. Like, I apologize if someone is watching from there, but it's some sort of mentality. But
Yep.
when they look at India, they see that India was colonized as well. They see India was looted as well, but it still rose and it's
Mhm.
rising. And then they draw inspiration from Indian startups and start the exact same startups in the same verticals for their uh, geography. The same is with places like in African continent. Someone
Mhm.
from, I guess, Nigeria, I saw writing UP in their LinkedIn profile. I reached out to her and asked, why do you write UP? Like, do you know UP is not like a metro city, but it's like a state in India?
Yeah.
She says that the same story, that they think that India is a far developed nation and they aspire to be like us. And she thinks that she would get more opportunity if she writes UP in her bio in India.
Wow.
Similarly, I've seen Indian people, let's say someone in Calcutta writing California in their bio,
Mm.
or someone in Nasik writing New York in their bio.
Mm.
And I asked them why. It's like it's the same. So the grass is always greener on the other side. And this story, like we have with these entrepreneurs, these are all very accomplished, well networked uh, crorpatis and millionaires from India, and
Mhm.
they're sharing their story that I did not move out of my country to make a million or more. I did not, change my LinkedIn bios.
Yep.
I authentically remained where I was, and now the world is one nation.
Yeah.
So it kind of promotes that idea that we are a global citizen,
Mm.
and opportunities are endless. And now we are getting into a world where everyone is like, we all are equals.
Yeah.
So that's the story.
Very interesting. So no, and it's nice way to weave in your book as well as the growth hacking day which you have, which is 13th of July. So how did all these ideas come about to you at that young age? Hey, let's have a growth hacking day. Let's write a book. Let's get people from around the world to contribute. It's fascinating at this young age. You have such profound knowledge when it comes to growth hacking, growth marketing. कहाँ से आया है? Meaning, where did it come from?
Thank you. So I'm humble when you say that. I actually I'm a copycat, but
Okay.
in a creative way. So like they say, what, steal like an artist, or what is
Yeah,
the,
Steal Like an
yeah.
Artist. Yes.
So what I do,
Jose Leon is the
yes.
book writer. Yeah.
What I do is I take ideas from other industries and apply it to mine. A lot of
Mm.
people do one mistake. They take ideas from their own industry and then copy it, and you're an obvious copycat.
Yeah.
But if you apply ideas from other industries and copy into yours, you're an original.
Mm.
So this is what I do. I look at other industries, what they are doing. So the book anthology idea was actually from the self-help space. A lot
Okay.
of books in the self-help space are anthologies. Like they get together, all the therapists and I don't know, coaches get together and write the books. I thought, okay,
Yeah.
marketers should do that. Then there is I did not know about it. I got the idea that, okay, why is just Bollywood doing theater releases? I want a theatrical release for marketers and founders and digital entrepreneurs. So let's do a movie. And I have never been to theaters. That means I don't watch Bollywood movies, but I want to look at myself in a theater just to experience how it feels like
Mm-hmm.
what's the setting and all of that. So I thought, okay, let's start a book about digital marketers, sorry, digital entrepreneurs, and experience it.
Mm.
And that's when like I was talking to these other participants in the documentary, and like they were all excited as well, because this is very novel idea, right? So my idea for marketing is, I don't want to constantly post social media content and do the same thing as what everybody is doing.
Yeah.
I want to have milestones in my life, not social media posts. And every milestone marks something novel, something original, something out of the box. And that is built to stay for long versus a social media post that might get deleted tomorrow for some policy violation. A book can't be destroyed. A movie can't be destroyed. Like, it can be destroyed, but not like so easily.
Yeah.
So creating things that are here to stay forever, even when we would be gone. Like, I don't want to be even remembered after I'm gone, but I want these timeless principles of growth hacking, growth marketing, maybe motivating people from those Caribbean islands and African continents, and letting them know that they are no less than the Silicon Valley guys.
Yeah.
They can be exactly the same. India has done it, and you can do it as well.
Yeah.
So that's the story that I want to leave. A lot of people have aspirations that they want to be remembered. I don't want to be remembered. I just want my work to be there so that it helps someone else. So this is like, my life is a guidebook for someone. That's how I'm weaving it together. So the idea actually comes from other industries, and then I apply to my life and industry, and then try to serve. So it's all done in the service. We don't make any money from the books. We have sold like 7,000-8,000 copies so far, with no PR, no budget for marketing. It's all
Wow.
community funded. Even the movies community funded. Everything that we do is like funded by just this small section of people, hardly 1,000. It's not like everybody's contributing as well. It's like, for the book, 100 people contributed. For the movie, 20 millionaires are contributing. So it's like, we run crowd funds and do this. We don't make any profits out of this. But then the byproduct of it is that it positions us as the authority, and then it brings in some business to us and everybody involved in the process. So that's the upside. So we don't really do any cold bound marketing or inbound marketing for our agency as well. It's the series of events in our own life that turns out to be like bringing us clients, and then they like their work, and then there is referrals and other things that just follow. But yeah, the bottom line really is that I am taking it from other industries.
Very interesting. At this young age, your family will be putting a lot of pressure also to you, right? Go get a work, go get a job, or get married, or have have a stable income. How do you battle all of that aspect? I'm sure when your friends might be working in corporate environments, or they may be having their own setup. So how do you deal with the societal and family and friends pressure, or things going around you, right? I'm not saying what you're doing is less. In fact, it's far more than what I was doing when I was at 26. But how do you manage that aspect, which is because you're still in India, right? And there are a lot of young folks who will be thinking, okay, he's doing it because he's privileged, or he was lucky, or how do you balance all of that other aspects as well?
Sure. So I don't usually talk about this aspect of my life, but I actually stay in a very controlled environment,
Okay.
in a way that everything is controlled, right from what people I'm meeting, what I'm eating, etc. It's like, they say trash in and trash out. What you consume, you become. And that's the reason I also say I don't want to watch violent movies or love stories on a big screen. I would rather feed my mind with something else, and something that I would enjoy doing. So I am more of like a techie guy, and with the right mix of spirituality into it. And I think it's called cultural inputs. I control the cultural inputs in my world so that I can have my originality intact. Like, if someone tells you that, okay, it's being a person who is very successful means that you must have money. This is like a very cultural thing, right?
Yeah.
If nobody tells you about this, you would not know, right? You would think that being successful is just being a nice person, everybody likes you.
Yeah.
That would be the most innocent thing, right? And as kids, when we are asked, okay, what do you want to become? I used to say I want to become a rickshaw driver because I really love rickshaw, like the 3-wheel vehicle. I don't know if it's there in all the countries, but it's very airy. It doesn't make, like in a car I would feel dizzy, but I wouldn't feel that sat in rickshaw and I said, I want to drive rickshaw. I'll become a rickshaw driver. That is a very innocent way of putting, like, for a child to say, because we are not fed by a cultural theory or idea
Yeah.
that rickshaw drivers are poor or something like that. That's a notion we have, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I do in my world as well. Like, I very innocently avoid all the cultural inputs, and then when you do your work, it turns out to be original because it's not influenced by other people, right? Even on social media, I have not logged into thread at all, because I'm not like the person who will jump on every platform, because Gary Vee told us to seize opportunities when they are, like, before they are gone, right?
Yeah.
We saw what happened with Clubhouse.
Yeah.
We saw what happened with other platforms. So I'm very mindful of where to invest energy and my time and money. So let the platform prove its point and then we would get on it. Like, nothing is going to change in 1-2 months, right? It would still be there where it is.
Yeah.
So I'll just take the username and just leave it that way. Similarly, like, my family, when I was in school, I used to see my dad dressing up in formals and leaving for work. And I used to be very uncomfortable with, like, just wearing formals alone. And
Yeah.
my idea of working remotely was inspired by this, that I don't want to wear formals because I'm very skinny. I'm just 40 kgs and I do not get clothes of my size. Like, the size starts with 28 and I'm 26.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so my idea.
I have a different problem of sizes, right? My sizes are bigger, so I don't get those sizes when I'm so that's interesting. Okay.
So my problem was different, not of the world that, oh, I want to become rich and work remotely. It's a luxury lifestyle. My reason for working remotely was I don't want to wear that kind of clothes. I don't want to go in those offices that have glass panes on everywhere. I want to
Hmm.
stay at home and do what I love doing. And I didn't even thought about this career path. It just unfolded magically. And I, like, some people like consciously take effort that, okay, I want to become a digital marketer. They
Hmm.
become a marketer, they work as an employee or a freelancer, then they start
Hmm.
operating as an agency, then they create their own product, then they build this company, maybe they become unicorn or very profitable company or whatever, right? This is like the usual
Yeah.
uh, growth
Paths.
path. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was very natural. Like, I did not think that, okay, I want to do this because I would make money. I started blogging because I wanted to. I got this opportunity to work with this company, the SaaS company that I first worked with, just randomly because I was writing for Huffington Post. It was it's a media site,
Hmm.
and things unfolded from there. I did not even choose to become a growth hacker. Like, this person, this founder was a growth hacker. I learned about it, it started doing it, thought that, okay, writing book would be cool, creating a community would be cool, creating a movie would be cool, and all of this indirectly directly makes money.
Hmm.
And that became a lifestyle. So when COVID happened and everybody was remote and everybody was going crazy saying it's new normal, it's new normal, I was wondering, oh, I've been home always. Home in the
Hmm.
sense I do go out and enjoy the outdoor lifestyle. I love it. I love villages and forests whenever I get a chance. But I was always working from home. It's nothing new for them. So what are these people talking about and going crazy about? But then I'm also trying to have that empathy and look from their perspective that,
Yeah.
oh, if I was them, how would I feel? And then I go on a trip thinking that, okay, how would it feel like them being
Yeah.
them? So I think, yeah, I think we, like, at least the people who are same as us are ahead of their times. So think of the people who are working offline right now,
Yeah.
maybe repairing railways
Cars
or
or yeah.
anything. Yeah, they have no clue what OpenAI is.
Hmm.
So I'm very lucky that we operate ahead of the times, and not just ahead of the times, but are people who are the light workers, right? Like, you and
Yeah.
I are light workers. You doing this podcast is a work of showing path to people.
Yeah.
So I think that alone makes our life uh, um, smooth, if I couldn't get a word. So it's just something that, you wouldn't regret doing. So my family naturally then adapted to it, knowing that, okay, whatever I'm doing is, like, I used to tell my family that everybody would, in 2016, that everybody should work remotely and they will. And then COVID happened and then everybody was like, oh, you were
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
it's like, and now I say, talk things about AI and other stuff, that spiritual tourism would be a big thing and people will have less things to do and more time to devote in their spiritual lives and
Yeah.
do good work for maybe exploring universe or whatever. And maybe this would happen, right?
Yeah.
It just all are what you can think by having no cultural inputs and no limitations on your thoughts.
Yeah.
So then they were like, okay, let's take a back seat and let him do whatever he wants to do.
Very interesting. No, building on to what you've just said, and there's one thing which you've been talking a lot about: communities.
Mm.
Now, most of these platforms we see, when there are communities and you build communities, there are bad actors also. There are people who participate in communities because they want to learn, they want to contribute, they want to engage, but then there are bad actors. How do people deal with bad actors, right? In the modern terms, they're also called trolls, or they're called bots, whatever you may want to call them. But how do you deal with bad actors who are there as part of these communities?
So I think of it this way. Let's say you and I were living offline
Mm-hmm.
and we had no connection online.
Yeah.
What would you do offline? So when business people used to previously operate their businesses offline, they used to have a set of friends, they had a set of admirers and followers, they would come for advice, or they would just be their customer or user or whatever, right? Whatever they were doing, product or business service.
Yeah.
Similarly online, there is, so we had an untold community offline, right? It's just that nobody said that, okay, this is your circle, this is your community, but we knew that, okay, this is online. We are more prominently able to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
my entire business is community driven, and most of the things that I do is just attached to this set of people. They become my users, they become my customers, they become my buyers. They are the go-to people I want to discuss things with. I am the media for them. I take initiatives on behalf of them and they join in. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like just staying over connected to this 1,000 people, and that becomes your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what would happen offline, right? And the same is happening online. I've also read some news like, okay, some influencer had 1 million people and they couldn't sell some X number of t-shirts, which was less
Mm-hmm.
than 100. Why does that happen? Because they are not culturally connected to their communities, right?
Yeah.
So you create a culture for your community to reward the right behaviors and discourage, not punish, but discourage the wrong behaviors. So
Hmm.
we have a set of
Do's and
guidelines.
don'ts. Yeah.
Yes, we don't call it rules, but we call them guidelines.
Yeah.
If you do it, it's great. If you don't do it, you would see the effects. It's not that we are going to kick you out. It's the community that infuses and enforces the
Guidelines.
guidelines. That is what
Mm-hmm.
I've seen over the years. These guidelines have not changed. I started this community in 2015. It's called Invincible Winners. It evolved into sub communities. That means Invincible Winners was like the main one. Then Invincible Product Hunters, Invincible Marketers, Invincible Growth Masters, Invincible YouTubers, Invincible Content Creators, Invincible LinkedIn Creators. So it's like a sub community, but everyone is one, and that one is the word Invincible Winner, and the meaning of it is both the words are the same meaning, that you can never be defeated.
Hmm.
And that, like, the name is empowering. That's why I had to I continued for so many years, but also the guidelines kept on, like we never changed it from the beginning. And now it's a culture, like I'm giving an example. A lot of communities die.
Yeah.
Why? Because there is no set theme or for discussions. People spam a lot. Like, the biggest reason for dying is everybody is talking about something, right? Like their own creation or their own agendas of selling something or whatever. But then if the community leader can unite everyone to one thing, so for
Mm-hmm.
example, we run very themed discussions and we clearly mention that this is a themed community. You go by the themes if you want to stay. Similarly, on, let's say, some other community called Invincible Product Hunters. Product Hunt is a website where you launch new products and we
Mm-hmm.
feature other people's product, then have discussions over it, and then everybody supports. It's like a great platform, and we are an extension of it. And then this community became so big that now it influences the real platform with changes, with new features, with
Very
policies that
interesting.
they form. So we are trying to become a community that makes an impact. So with Growth Masters, we are doing these books and movies. With Product Hunters, we are entirely changing a platform, like influencing a platform and the culture on it. So now let's say we have a very basic rule that if you share an interesting, let's say you're talking about your website and say, oh, I do this podcast and I'm looking how I can grow my reader base, for example, you would say, okay, this is my abc.com website, right? Instead of doing that, we say write dot literally so that it doesn't become a clickable link, so the discussions stay and they don't go off platform. If someone is really keen on looking at your site, they can just replace the dot in their browser and have a look at it, right? This automatically discourages spammers who just want to put in links.
Yeah.
Similarly, everyone can self promote, but if they've earned karma, so just like in real life, you do good things, you get like your good actions result to good results. Similarly, your good karma in the community would be rewarded with self promotion. So if you earn 100 karma,
Hmm.
you are allowed to self promote. And
Okay.
who decides who you have good karma or bad karma? That's the community's votes. So
Okay.
every discussion has votes. And then if the community is voting on it, that means you're earning good karma. If they're not engaging, you're earning bad karma.
Okay.
So that is against the interest of the communities, to say so to say. So this is how we keep away the bad actors. So even if someone is doing something wrong, right, it's the
Mm-hmm.
other people. Like we've come to a point where we no longer want to interfere much. It's the other people who get involved and say. And
Very
of
interesting.
course, with moderation rights only, we can delete some spam post or all that is very normal. But it's the first thing that would happen is the members would guide members. And I
Hmm.
think the success of a community is determined by just that there comes a point where the leader withdraws and the community still continues to operate.
Yeah. Now, this has been a fascinating conversation, and I would say the point which you mentioned about the cultural input has kind of got cemented in my mind now. It's such profound what you've just shared, and it's so great to hear at this age the kind of knowledge and the wisdom which you have been able to share on this call or on this podcast has been amazing. So thanks, Rohan, for taking time out. It's been a wonderful conversation, and especially taking time out on a weekend. So really appreciate that from you.
Thank you. I absolutely enjoyed this discussion. And I must say that this has been the most interesting podcast I've done with anyone so far. I've
Oh,
done
thank you.
many, but this has been really great. The right, like the entire experience, right from the time your team reached out to the time when we, had difficulties and you gracefully kind of navigated through it.
No, that's
And I absolutely love how you continue discussions and continue to build on those discussions. So thank you so much for having me. I look forward to sharing with our community.
sure.
And hopefully my like I told you, my goal is to make this like the most watched episode on your YouTube channel or wherever you're posting it. I look forward to the main one. Thank you so much.